Hello and welcome. My name is Richard, and I warmly invite you into this space, a space of contemplation and reflection that seeks to provide some support and guidance for those of us who have an affinity with the light and working with the light in support of the ascension process into higher states of awareness and being that the human character is moving into, is birthing into. It's a very potent time to be here on planet Earth. And we all need some guidance and support along the path. This is an 8-part teaching series, and today marks the 4th chapter in that story, which I've entitled The Curse, the Great Concealer. A topic that's going to cover some tricky ground, but hopefully ground and information that is going to be of value and service to the whole. If you have stumbled onto this space for the first time, then I would encourage you to take a look at the introductory video, link below, which sets out the context and structure of the 8-part journey that I've conceived and am putting together now. Now, where we finished last time was a fork in the road, and I was going to focus on the aspect of us that is already awakened, and to speak to those souls who are most aligned with being that character of wanting to bring that unique, divine spark into the human life. We want to carry that note and that resonance and to play their music. These are not souls on a journey of awakening or a journey of souls needing more sleep in the world. These are souls that want to put the staff in the ground as a marker and guidepost, like a stone tossed into a pond that can then ripple out throughout space and time and into the physical world. And when you embark on that journey, I spoke about entering through the gate of shock. Where you come onto stage with your lines rehearsed, your unique message to bring. And under the floodlights, under the spotlight, you freeze. And today I'm going to take a look at why we freeze. Why is this set up as it is? This journey, this unique journey. And what's its greater purpose? And what I'm speaking to today comes from my own personal contemplations and insights, more than a place of expertise and knowledge. But what I've observed and experienced is that our human brain has been conditioned to not fulfill its potential. And so that when that divine essence and spark navigates through that vehicle of the brain, it struggles to express itself fully and completely. And that doesn't mean to say the brain isn't fit for purpose, because the human brain is very intelligent and very capable of being a vessel to bring through higher sources of information and light and to express it into the physical world. We are very capable. But the human brain, over many eons, has been deliberately shut down. And there is a great reason for that. Because when souls enter this life and want to bring their unique essence to it, they are not easy to control. And there is a great fear in spontaneity, in uniqueness, within the herd mentality. And so for the safety of the herd, and for the profit of those who govern the herd, they had to find a way to dissuade souls from recognizing their divine sovereign power and essence, to ensure compliance, predictability, to keep souls in a state of victim consciousness. And they were very kind of clever with this, the way that this was designed and implemented through the human brain. And they designed this by introducing some black magic, what I've called a curse. Which you could say is the mist of unworthiness that we wander through and shroud ourselves in, concealing our light. And it's a very clever curse because it's a poison that we internalize and digest in our system. There's no great oppressor stopping us from shining our most beautiful, divine, radiant selves into the world. There's no one standing there in front of us saying you can't do that. But by manipulating the brain, they've achieved that result through some clever magic. And this is the experience of shame. And shame is often labeled as an emotion. But in truth, it isn't actually that. Because emotions are born out of nature. And they rise and they fall. Like a cloud of impermanence. All emotions come and go. They're triggered, they're felt, and then they pass. But shame, as an experience, is a man-made construct that cannot be found in nature. Which is an interesting thought to reflect on. Because it's very real, shame. And shame walks hand in hand with those souls who are on this pathway of wanting to bring something unique into the world. And it's something that one must work through with great courage, devotion, and great strength of character. Because we spoke last time about the lighthouse keeper and his devotion. And we must have that spirit. Because it's very easy in the wild places of nature, in the brief moments of awe and ecstasy, to get a glimpse of why we came here onto this planet and what we wish to bring to bear. But taking those moments, those peak experiences, and integrating them into a human daily life, a grounded life, is a whole journey through the field of shame and through the mist of unworthiness. So just take a deep breath into that. And feel where shame exists for you. Shame runs deep into spirals, deep seeds of trauma. And it's very hard for a child coming into this world who gives his wholehearted trust and innocence into his caregivers. And when he experiences a moment of shame, a transmission which naturally flows down the ancestral line, where shamed adults will go on and shame the children, it's very hard for a young child to say, I will not accept your shame. And that transmission is very subtle. And as a parent myself, I often catch myself crossing that line, moving from a place of guidance and teaching into shaming and control. It's a deeply ingrained human habit. And so young children learn to play by the rules. That is how human history has functioned through the Dark Ages. And I've spoken before that we are a very left hemisphere brain dominant species right now. And that is where this comes from. Because when we are living in our left hemisphere, we are adapting to our environment, adapting to the social cues of what is appropriate or not in terms of our behavior. A healthy left brain is geared towards our survival. And will adapt itself to meet the needs of that survival. And so any behavior that meets with disapproval will be turned away from. Even if that behavior is an expression of divine power, which is often unpredictable and most easily shut down. And this transmission of shame is the curse through the ancestral line. That if we are to evolve as a species, we must find a way to lift that curse. And as we access the right hemisphere of our brain, we are more connected to our intuition, to our heart, to our wisest self. We see the bigger picture. We express our uniqueness through that part of the brain. And we must find a way to activate that and give that permission and blessing. And we'll be speaking to this some more in the weeks to come in the remaining teachings. This is the field where the artist and the healer dwells, and their deepest dilemma of creating for the joy of it rather than creating merely for the approval of others. And living in a world where that is supported and encouraged and championed. And I also want to just distinguish between guilt and shame here, which are often closely linked but are, in truth, miles apart. Guilt is a healthy response, feedback response from the herd. If we are choosing a harmful, unsafe path, if we're making a mistake, guilt is a reflection back that then supports the human soul to course correct and learn and grow and be a positive, loving, caring participant in community. A harmonious presence. So guilt is healthy. But shame as a mechanism and feedback has a more toxic essence to it that doesn't support us to course correct. It is feedback we receive regardless of whether our choice is causing harm or not. It's just different. It's just foreign to the herd. So we will curse it with shame. And as you digest that crippling shame, you are kind of literally and metaphorically cut down at the knees, paralyzed and frozen. You cannot learn anything out of shame. It serves no value. And like I say, it shuts down the human brain into a pale imitation of its potential. We become lost in the mist of unworthiness. Compliant, dutiful citizens of a matrix, of a dying world. Powerless in its presence. Now, the last thing I wanted to speak to today, it relates relates to the children that are coming through into this world at this time and their role and what essence and message they are bringing through the next generation. And I'm speaking to this label of neurodivergence and neurotypical. And what I see with these so-called neurodivergent children is that they are here to reflect the madness and insanity of a left hemisphere dominant worldview. Louis Sass was one who wrote brilliantly around the madness that comes from living from a left hemisphere dominant point of view. We kind of spiral and lose control of our senses. We become unable to regulate and balance and make good decisions. And I feel the children are coming through today to highlight this, to say things have gone too far to one side. And they are here to remind us of the need to develop the right hemisphere of our brain. They're trying to help us turn the tide. Because we can no longer live in this world with the pale imitation of a brain. It must become fit for purpose for a new world, and for human leadership at the forefront of that. And as frequency holders, we are here on the leading edge, hands close to the fire, and needing to champion ourselves in the presence of this curse and extinguish its power that it holds over the human self. That is quite a process. And over the next 2 or 3 teachings, I want to look more into how this unfolds and how we can move through this. Because that journey is so important in birthing the new world that is prophesized. Because in that new world, shame cannot be a force that is exercised or abused. We must leave that behind. And we are here to do the work to ensure that that is realized. Just taking a deep breath as we complete today's teaching. I feel I've opened up some threads that need some further exploration here and contemplation. And I hope you join me for that journey in the days and weeks to come. Thank you, dear ones, and many blessings.